There we go. We got to start again. Because I know there's a delay, but I'm like, okay, there's a delay. There's a delay. And I'm like, that's too long of a delay.
You all just missed one of my best intros of all time. Son of a... Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 288, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Steve.
Are you still Steve? I don't even know.
I'm still Steve, yeah.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night, although we almost broadcast to an empty house. So,
Almost, yeah.
Steve, I went through the whole intro. I was starting to talk about how my day was going and things like that, and Steve's like, are we live? I don't see the show. Is it not? Nope, it wasn't. Yay.
That's perfect time to crack into that beer.
That's exactly right. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are right on the air, so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. But if you really want to support the channel, head on over to craftcomputing.store and pick yourself up some merch. That actually helps out the channel a lot more than you think it would. And coming shortly, we'll have some new coaster designs, and I'm hoping to get the pint glasses posted later this week. So if you've been waiting for those, now's your chance.
I saw those coasters today. I absolutely love those coasters. Those are so sexy. I love those a lot. I love them. Yes. Of course, if I get them, people with younger kids are going to be, Dad, why do you have a save button for a coaster?
Right.
They're going to be like, they have no idea what that is. What's the save button there for?
Yeah. People are saying I'm too quiet again. I just can't fight this anymore. I'm going to turn off everything.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. All right.
There we go.
There might be extra noise, but I don't care. It's one of those nights. Let's see.
I got John's name. John's handle on my thing too. That's okay. I could be John for a day.
That's fine.
Pickle beer. Don't you want to drink pickle beer?
You know what? You're John
beer.
now.
Look about pickle beer. I'll pickle beer.
Mustard and hot dog beer. Her. Oh, where the hell was I? Oh, right. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shout-outs as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is also down in the video description and helps keep the lights on around here. Best of all, you can join the awesome Discord server and hang out with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the excellent and amazing community that hangs out over there.
All right.
Are we live now? Can I?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're sure. We're sure? All right. I might as well officially give you your title. Hold on.
Okay. We can do that now.
There you are. Okay. Are we good? Is everybody happy?
I'm happy now. Back to my handle since I've had since the 90s.
There you go. So, how you doing tonight, Steve?
I'm doing pretty good. Apparently you were like getting running late, and I was like way ahead. And I'm like,
yeah. So today's just been one of those days. I'm just constantly bouncing from project to project to project, and it's not that anything went wrong necessarily. It's just one of those hyper busy days. Not even about like anything in particular, just like, oh, this needs my attention for 5 minutes. And I've been working on a couple of things here. I've been benchmarking a PC for a video that I'm hoping to get out on Friday this week. I've been working on obviously these new coaster designs and pint glass designs and things like that. Trying to finalize details before I hit publish to the site. And about 5 o'clock, I'm like, all right, time to get ready for the show. You know what? I feel gross. I've been out in the garage. It's been like 85, 90 degrees outside. I'm hot. I'm sticky. I don't feel right. If I don't feel right, I'm not going to be right. And so I'm like, I'm just going to go shower real quick. So jump in the shower.
That's good practice for when YouTube implements smell-o-vision.
That's right.
In the near future. Yeah, you want to get that.
I mean, as you see, it's coming sooner than we thought.
It is coming sooner. Yes, I saw your video today. Yes, so we got smell-o-vision coming.
I mean, we can go from selling bathwater to gamer girl essential oils.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, anyway, so finally feel better. Came downstairs and I'm like, holy crap, it's 5:40. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I've gotten the show together in less time and less prepared. Then I realized all of my camera gear and tripods and mounts are still in my bags from California. So now with like 15 minutes left, I'm like, where's my tripod head at? Where's my desk clamp? Where's my light? Where's everything that I do for my live stream? But we're here.
We're here.
Yeah. It's live.
Well, it wasn't as bad as when your streaming PC got fried. This is a little better than that.
This is a little better than that. It's a little
better than that. Yeah. A little bit easier than that. Yeah.
Anyway, obviously I opened a beer during the second intro of the day. I am drinking. Holy crap! I had this last year, and wow.
Good.
Elysian Dank
Dust.
Yeah.
Dank Dust, yes.
Finally got my hands on this year's batch. It's danker than I remember.
Really?
And that's saying something.
See, I remember it obviously smells super dank.
Yeah.
I remember
the flavor. It tastes like I just smoked. Like it's that thick and oily and
okay. They might have changed it. I haven't tried this year's yet, but I remember it's smelling way more like a weed shop than anything else. But it tasted phenomenal. I thought it tasted great. Didn't taste overly dank at all.
This is almost inverted from that.
Was it really?
There's like grapefruit and a little bit of citrus note on the nose, and then if you really dig into it, you're like, weed shop. But it's not that intense. But the flavor, it's literally like drinking bong water.
Okay, wow.
I don't know that I like this year's. I really liked last year's.
I really like last year's too.
It was delicious. It was I think it was that right balance of hops and dankness and oil and everything. This one it's like it smells like a better IPA than last year's did. But man, if you're even slightly adverse to the smell of weed, let alone it lingering in your mouth for 20 minutes afterwards,
this is
not the beer for you.
I just had this year's 3-way IPA because they kind of come out at the same time, pretty close to. Yeah. And I didn't like this year's 3-way IPA as much as I liked last year's. Actually, I actually
surprising. Who was the who were they partnering with?
The three beers?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
One of them was I was like, holy crap, I need to try that because
they're
one of my favorites.
It was like one of the really good ones.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me look this up. I'll find it. Cellar Maker and Anchorage. So it was
okay.
Yeah, Anchorage. Yeah,
I knew one of them was like a
yeah, Anchorage is good. I mean, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't like, but usually the 3-way IPA, it's like, oh, this is really good. I need to buy this again. But this year's was like, it's kind of just okay. It kind of gave me a bit of heartburn too. It was like really, because like, you remember when hazies first came out and they were just like overly hopped and they kind of gave you that burn.
Yeah.
And they kind of perfected it after about a year, and it didn't have that burn anymore.
After like 4 years, it wasn't.
Okay, 4 years. To be fair, okay. It just seems that more recent hazies,
2015 through 2020, were kind of like hey, I kind of like Heady Topper, what the Alchemist is doing over there. Let's see if we can, hazy bomb this thing. And it was like, wow, I've tasted this before, and I can't have more than 2 ounces. I'm sorry.
Yeah. This is what it was reminiscent to me. It was more like the original hazies, where there was just so much hop that it was kind of like burning my throat a little bit. But I mean, it was okay. It was still okay. I just can't
Yeah.
drink more than maybe a pint, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So
No, the new hazies are incredible.
yeah.
The super juiced hazies and whatnot that they've
Mm-hmm.
been slanting towards for probably about the last 3 or 4 years. I will say, from 2015 to 2020, I was not the biggest hazy fan, and in fact, anytime I would review a beer, it would be. It tastes like every other hazy. It's got some amazing potential and amazing flavors right up front, but after about 3 or 4 ounces, you're going.
Yeah. Yeah. John said he liked it. But
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it as much. So
The three-way, yeah.
yeah, he said he liked the three-way.
I'm looking forward to it.
No.
I'm going to be disappointed if it's not 8.4% because every Anchorage IPA has to be 8.4%.
I don't know what it is. I think it's pretty close. I think it's like in the sevens.
Yeah.
Let me see. I didn't see what it was. I just looked at the. Oh, they don't have it listed on the website. Oh, it says 7. It says 7%.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's not quite up there, but
All right. Well, I've obviously opened my beer, and I got us into 5 minutes of hot weed talk. Steve, what do you got on tap today?
okay. I have. So I was kind of interested in this because we all like Great Notion here on this channel. Just about everybody here loves Great Notion, and they're particularly known for their hazies, their pastry stouts, and their jammy sours. That's what they're most particularly known for, and they do a great job at all three of those styles. But I was at the store and I saw that they put out a lager. And I'm like, I like lagers sometimes.
Yeah.
I want to see what Great Notion's interpretation of a lager is.
Yeah.
Because they always do a good job on everything else. So I kind of want to try their lager. So I picked that up. It's called Elite Lager. I'm going to try that. And I have, just to mix it up from like normal IPA stuff, I have from Untitled Art, the Chocolate Cinnamon Churro Pastry Stout.
Ah,
What?
there it is.
There we go. Yep, Untitled Art. Untitled Art is excellent. If anybody's ever had them before, just about every single thing I've had from them is really good.
Nice.
And as an emergency thing, which I may or may not drink in the after party, we'll see. I don't even know which brewery this is because the can art isn't really indicative to say this is the brewery.
Willow fodder,
or is it
Willow
Dirt Rich or I don't know the name. I don't know the brewery.
Citra
Just looking
Cashmere.
Yeah, that's the hops.
Wonderland's beer looks like at the bottom, very bottom line.
You think that's what it is? Wonderland's beer?
Yeah.
Okay, it's either Dirt Rich or Fodor IP. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Who knows?
Who knows? But I'm gonna try it. Yeah. It was this. I was like looking at that can and like I have no idea what this is. I'm gonna try that. I like mystery beer. We're gonna give it a shot.
John said his three-way video is out tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming on OnlyFans.
Oh yeah, of course.
I've gone through already that much. Like I'm not a huge fan of this beer, but I am just sucking it down, and I'm a little afraid to tap into my next beer, because that's going to make for a really, really short show.
Oh, Lost Love. Now, is that the regular or is it like a special?
This is their rye barrel aged Lost Love.
Oh, dude, I love rye barrel aged.
The normal Lost Love is 11.5 or 12%. This one's 14.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh, in fact, I forgot to check what the percentage on this, because usually pastry stouts are pretty high. Oh, no, this is only 8%. This is, I mean, that's high.
Okay. So
it's not no 17% or anything like that.
So yeah, I might. Unfortunately, I had a seltzer water here in my fridge, and I was going to drink that the other day, and then I pulled it out, and I didn't drink it, but I didn't put it back in the fridge, so now it's warm. So now if I want like a mixer in between the beers, like if I wanted to just like, hey, I'm going to drink water for a little while.
Oh, palate cleanser.
The only thing in that fridge is like 12.5 and up.
Oh, geez.
That's my good fridge.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Yeah. So we'll see how this show evolves.
We'll see how it goes.
Let's see. Who's all drinking out in Chatland tonight? Zachary says, do I need to send another A5000? Well, I do have an open slot in my Epic Rome server, so maybe. Let's see. Those coasters are dope. Thank you, Jason. Much appreciated. Yeah, this is how cavemen saved their JPEGs, by the way.
Yeah. ancient JPEG.
Yeah. It's where the term hard disk comes from, actually.
Pre-floppy disk days.
Pre-floppy, yes.
Pre-floppy.
Oh, man. I got a million jokes. Like, let's... You know what's funny about the Elysian Dank Dust is... Gosh, was I in high school? Might have been high school. I don't remember. So one particular year, they had it for like 6 months. 7-Eleven had a special edition WWE before it was WWF.
WWF, yeah.
Yeah, but WWF.
No, I think it was WWF, and then it was WWF.
And then World Wildlife Foundation had a conniption. Yeah, it was WWF when I was a kid. And they had 7-Eleven came out with a special edition WWF Slurpee flavor. And it was like this wild berry and citrus and thing like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember when it was, what it was, but I remember I got it one time. And I got the giant one, as you do.
Right.
What's the point of buying the one for $109 when you can get the 140 and drink all day, right? So, got the giant Slurpee, walked out, and I took a sip. And the first thing out of my brain was, that is rancid.
That's because they had some WWF players' sweat mixed in.
But seriously, no. So here's how the flavor profile of that drink went.
Okay.
That's the Okay. Every time.
Yeah.
Like you take a drink and you're like, that is literal body sweat. Like I'm licking the back of the rock's head or something like that. Like it's rancid. It's disgusting. It's horrible.
They wrung out Andre the Giant's jockstrap.
Right. Yeah. They just kind of squeeze that into a Slurpee machine.
Yeah.
But then midway, like 2 or 3 seconds later, it would start to sweeten up just a little bit, just enough to trick you into going back for more. And that's kind of what this is doing to me. Like,
okay,
it's an obscure reference, but I remember very distinctly buying one of those Slurpees, and for the first 3 seconds of every drink, hating my life, and then going, okay, I kind of get it. I kind of get what that's about, and then going back for more, and immediately being punched in the face with Hulk Hogan's socks again, and. And then you go back for more again. And you can't decide if you love it or hate it or if it's both all simultaneously. And that's kind of what the Dank Dust is doing to me.
I'll have to try this year's because I remember really enjoying last year's. I really did.
I've got a couple extra bottles, and in fact, I do have some bottles for like all of you folks. So
okay.
I need to get those down to you. Yeah, we got in... did you see my picture of all the dragon's milk in my fridge right now?
Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
Yeah, so we got the gold, and we got the golden ale, and we got the red.
Okay.
Holy crap. I need to get those to you all. Also, we need to have...
John,
go ahead.
John wants to do the watermelon pickle beer review this weekend. We could all come up.
You know? It's not a bad idea. We might be able to do that. And in fact, there's also a beer that I was wanting to do social with all of us.
Okay.
Or a cocktail, a flip.
A flip. Oh, I love flips.
Right. So recently, I picked up the cocktail book Mystic Libations by Todd Stashwick, a.k.a. Captain Liam Shaw of the USS Titan. So he's a huge nerd in real life, D&D fanatic and everything else. He actually has an entire cocktail book that he co-wrote that is D&D themed. And so the whole thing is D&D cocktails, and it's amazing. Their very first one, I forget what it's called, but the very first one in the book is their signature cocktail. And it is 12 ounces of New Holland's Dragon's Milk Stout.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice.
And 4 ounces of a chocolate port.
Oh. I can see that being excellent.
So, I bought a 750 of a chocolate port. And I've got a whole bunch of Dragon's Milk.
Which chocolate port did you get?
I'd
say left hand.
No, Chocolate Factory.
Chocolate Factory. Chocolate Factory is good. Okay.
Yeah, it's their not stout, chocolate port. It's
okay.
the chocolate wine.
The port, the chocolate port. Yes, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Chocolate dessert wine. So I got the Chocolate Factory chocolate dessert wine. And I'm looking forward to this. I very much.
That sounds good. and it's a flip, so they shake it with egg. Then,
you don't shake it. Yeah, you just pour it straight. So yeah, I guess a flip would be a flip is a beer cocktail, typically a hearty.
I always thought a flip was with egg.
I think it can be with egg, but it's typically your super hearty meal in a can. So the ones that do egg, you can also do heat up a stick of iron and score the drink.
Oh yeah, they do that. Yes,
yeah, so
yes.
that's also
I've wanted to do that for a long time too. Yeah.
And so
I'm reading it. It's a whole bunch of things.
Yes,
actually.
Yeah. So flip essentially means a hearty beer cocktail.
Yeah.
In the definition that I've come up with. But yes, everything you mentioned totally can go into a flip.
Yes. Commonly used is a whole raw egg and other things.
A raw egg, you can do a raw iron, you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a meal in a glass where the base ingredient is a double % beer.
Yeah, I've every time I've had a flip, they've been absolutely delicious.
But I've been wanting to try that particular drink, and I've got all the ingredients on hand. Obviously, just the 2.
Yeah.
But I'm going. I'm not going to open the port by myself because otherwise, I would pour my 4 ounces and then pour my Dragon's Milk, and now I've got a stout, and then I'd down that, and then I'd go. Well, I've got 3 other Dragon's Milks just sitting there in a full bottle of wine. Jeff from Craft Computing passed away today at the age of...
Yeah. You had a smile on his face, though.
Damn straight. Anyway, I don't even know how long we're into this show. This may be what hour. This show ends up being. Does this channel talk crypto? No.
Not really.
Unless we're making fun of Steven Seagal.
Yeah. We talked about it in the past of failed, ridiculous cryptocurrencies. We talked about those, but not legit stuff.
Yep. No, I'm not a Bitcoin investor. I have never once owned any form of a digital currency or cryptocurrency. I don't recommend it. It's unstable. It's unregulated, which means that all of the, exchanges that have gone under and have zero accountability to their user base, maybe you just fell for the world's largest Ponzi scheme. Just saying. Oh, and also at the expense of how many tens of thousands and millions of kilowatt hours, eaten into graphics cards, and entire economies ruined. And but no, talk to me about crypto again. Nope, hate crypto. Craft bucks for the win. I mean, if you'll buy them. Jesus, I did just sell a whole run of Craft Computing bricks, didn't I?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, we've already done Craft Computing's NFT, so. Cool. I guess let's get into the news.
Oh, are we gonna do some drink shoutouts or no?
We're already like 20 minutes into the show. We might
I
as
mean,
well
I
just
guess
jump in.
we can go.
I only saw a couple there. Novella started
Okay.
with a Surly Dumpster Fire IPA. I think
I like the name of that, Surly Dumpster Fire.
yeah, the Dumpster Fire came out in 2020 and was actually a recreation of one of Surly's beers from like 2016 or 2017. But obviously it came out in 2020 because literal dumpster fire. And yeah. Let's see. Who else do we have? Skull having Two Brothers Brewing Domaine du Page. You're gonna have to elaborate on that one. Like,
I don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
Domaine du Page.
Yeah. Don't hold back, Craft Computing. Tell us how you really feel about crypto. If you trusted Steven Seagal, Tom Brady.
Steven Seagal's energy drink only gave me a small ulcer.
Right.
So
Tom
guess
Brady
he
can be trusted to win Super Bowls. But the thing is about taking financial advice from athletes and self-made 100 millionaires and even like low-level billionaires and things like that. Yes, I know the majority of pro athletes wash up and are basically bankrupt after so many years because they don't spend their assets wisely. They go, oh yeah, no, of course I'll buy that $17.5 million mansion. And what could the upkeep costs possibly be for something like that? Yeah, a good number of them wind up bankrupt. The thing is, the couple who rise to the top and make more money than they could ever possibly spend, don't trust them for financial advice either.
Yeah. I mean, there's some of them that try to use their money wisely and invest in businesses, but then those businesses end up going belly up. It's the same thing when you go into the market for anything.
Yeah.
It seems like there's risk involved in any kind of financial endeavor.
Yeah.
So that's why we always say never take financial advice from us. We don't know what we're talking about.
Right.
Nobody knows.
Look at
People
my
who
bank
are
account.
experts-
You can
Look at there's a reason why people say whatever Jim Cramer says, do the opposite, even though he's an expert on TV that is talking about financial advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only good financial investment that Tom Brady has ever had is living rent-free inside of Skip Bayless's head.
There you go. And it was rent free, so he didn't really make any money from it. So
That's the joke.
yeah.
Now, I guess it'd be LeBron James living rent-free inside Skip
LeBron
Bayless's
James.
head. Because Skip Bayless knows even less about football than he does about basketball.
Okay, now we get to news.
I was about to go into another tangent if you didn't stop me, so...
Don't let me stop you. Please go.
No. Please
Okay.
stop me.
Okay.
Let's see. He's talking about me, guys, my spending habits when it comes to Xeons. Yeah. There's
I will tell you this.
Xeon on the shelf right there.
For financial advice, do not invest into tech equipment. It does not appreciate in value.
Invest
very
in
often.
Radeon 7s. I wanted one. I've always wanted one. I wanted to test one, so I bought one. Was it a sound investment at $286? Probably not. Will I get that money back from a video? Not unless it's sponsored. But I wanted one. Now it's on my shelf.
Yes, there you go. You got one. There you go.
Apple potentially getting serious about gaming on Mac, and they've come out essentially with their own Proton-like tool. Now this is... Yeah, Voodoo cards are up in value. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Voodoo cards.
To be fair. This is a little bit of a contentious topic because Proton obviously is the Valve-developed multi-platform compatibility layer tool emulation-like thing. Don't at me. I don't want to go over wine and emulation again. call it what you will, compatibility
Yeah.
layer, although compatibility layer is also a form of emulation. But we'll move on. Apple is coming out with their own homegrown Proton-like tool, so you can finally run your PC games on a Mac.
Right.
With essentially layer translated system calls. Very similar to Proton, very similar to DXVK, and in fact what Wine has been doing for years, where you're not necessarily changing platforms. You are reading instructions and reading them in your own native tongue. So if it was written in DirectX, cool. We'll just translate all of those calls over to Vulkan. Now Vulkan can understand them natively, and we can just move forward at the same speed.
Right.
My big problem with this is if Apple would just support Vulkan, this would already be done.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the compatibility tools that are already out there, that Valve has put out there and that a lot of the community has been developing, is to convert DirectX to Vulkan. But Apple, no, we can't use standards. We're not a pleb. Do you understand who we are? We write our own APIs, damn it. And so you have to run 3D acceleration on your Mac, either in OpenGL, because while it's universal, yeah, everyone uses OpenGL these days, right? No. They use Metal on the Mac as their low-level API for direct interface with bare metal. Metal is their bare metal API. So unfortunately, they're doing everything they can to be Apple in this situation. They are releasing a tool called the Game Porting Toolkit, in the most unoriginal name since Microsoft, to basically provide developers with a way of porting their games from Steam or anything else, and basically acting as a middleman for crossover, which also converts x86 and your native Windows calls over to calls that Mac OS can understand. So let me get this straight. Apple, you already, at the base level of your M series of processors, your M1, M2, understand x86 execution natively. You wrote those instructions into your ARM processing architecture. So there's very little translation that has to happen. A la, I don't know if you remember, Steve, like Transmeta, who used to do the Crusoe processors, in which they were not x86 based, but they understood x86 instructions natively. And so
Crusoe.
Transmeta was the company. Transmeta Crusoe. They made processors between like 800 and 1800 megahertz back in the Pentium 3 days. And they were not as fast as like a Pentium 3 processor at 1.4 or whatever else, but they could natively understand x86 instructions. It had like a native translation. And that's kind of what Apple is doing with their ARM architecture. So Apple, let me get this straight. Instead of just supporting the open protocols, Vulkan, DirectX, etc., instead, you are providing developers with a game porting toolkit in which they then have to publish their games after essentially re-rendering them, making the whole Proton idea useless. Because the whole idea of Proton is it's not up to the developer, it's up to the consumer to go, hey, I want to try to run that game. Hot damn, it works! Maybe there's one or two fixes that a developer can push out to Proton
if they want to, yeah,
or get part of the raw specs to go like, hey, when our game does this on ARM, it'd be better if you did this, and everyone's happy. No, you still need to go through Mac's proprietary gaming portal, to get your games listed as compatible to even hope to play them. Walled garden for compatibility layers.
Yeah. That's 100% Apple. That's how they want to do it.
How do you screw that up? It's so frustrating because I've always been an Apple user. I love Apple as a platform. I find a lot of their things are very intuitive. They work the way my brain works, whereas Windows sometimes not so much. With the multi-desktop layouts and the ease of navigating the OS itself, because everything is unified top to bottom. Outside of so if you look strictly at first-party apps and first-party settings and the OS holistically, everything is streamlined. Everything has the same UI. Everything is in the same place. Everything is universally and uniformly named. There's an order and a rank and a file to everything inside of macOS that Apple handles first party, and most third party devs inside of macOS also try to follow that same rank and file.
I think they're pretty much forced to, aren't they?
They're not necessarily. You can develop an app for Apple and just send it out there, and you can run it. You can run the binary on your Mac, and
that's true. Yeah,
it's fine. Now, inside of like iPhone, iOS, that kind of thing, absolutely.
That's a little different.
You're kind of required to follow, hey, these are our protocols for pop-up messages. These are our protocols for this and X and Y, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. But to the end consumer, I've always argued it does make a lot of sense that everything on your device has a uniform presentation and is universally named and articulated and displayed in the same language across the entire infrastructure. Yeah. And I've always respected that about Apple. If you look at Microsoft and if you look at Windows, and hell, you could throw Linux into this mix, come at me. I'm going to piss off everyone tonight. If you look at Windows, when it was, hell, let's go back to Windows 3.1. It was a unified architecture, top to bottom. Every single window and control panel and setting kind of looked the same. It all had the same basic layout.
They did, but okay, because when I started developing,
I know there's still caveats.
there are okay, but like one of the first things I learned to do is how to customize how the windows looked, and I could even change the borders and everything like that.
Oh yeah,
using their API, so I could change it how I wanted to. But you're right, most everything looked the same.
Talking strictly as first party, as Microsoft themselves developing for Windows 3.1.
Absolutely, you're absolutely correct about that.
Everything top to bottom, from file manager to control panel to your display settings, it was all the same uniform language, layout, UX, everything.
Yeah.
Windows 95 came along, and they did the same trick twice in a row, which is not a very Microsoft thing to do, where everything in Windows 95 was uniform to Windows 95 user interface design. That was their last win, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to being intuitive. Because they then started segmenting teams and development teams and projects and things like that.
Went to MT and all that kind of stuff.
And so now you're going to develop the device manager, and you're going to develop the control panel interface that will call up all the different control panels that we have in every single control panel window that you could ever open. While they share buttons and things like that, they all have wildly different layouts. Different columns, different tabs, different names for even like settings. And we're talking like Windows 98, Windows 98 SE.
Oh, yeah.
Let alone once we get into Windows XP, which then you had a simplified control panel and a advanced control panel. Sound familiar? They still haven't fixed it like 25 years later.
I loved it when Office came out with the ribbons. They came up with the ribbons at the top. So that was the only Microsoft product that had ribbons on it. Nothing else that Microsoft put out. That was it. Nobody else used
Office
ribbons.
07.
They're
ribbons.
Like Office. We got this revolutionary interface called ribbons. Everybody loved it so much. that no other Microsoft product used it.
Right? Yeah, but yeah, so if you look at Windows, and I'm going to throw Linux under the bus here, because for every distro of Linux, there's 10 more desktop environments that you can download for them.
Yeah.
None of them are uniform. None of them call settings exactly the same thing across their entire infrastructure. None of them are the same. And that's a problem from an end consumer standpoint.
Mm.
Coming back to, as a consumer, it is nice that when I get onto a Mac, everything is where I expect it to be. Because it's been that way for 30 years. I mean, you can go back to OS 7, and you can still navigate it as a Mac user. Nothing has really fundamentally changed. And that's incredible. They have, evolved the whole thing, but there's not like these crazy leaps that have been made. And yes, I know Windows has the start menu, but I'm talking more than just the desktop UI. I'm talking about going down fine-grained, defining what you need your PC to do. Those settings have changed wildly, and in fact, Microsoft is famous for changing product names every 3 years to be something completely different.
Well, not only that, it's just like,
or even
a lot
reusing acronyms.
And then just like, oh, we have a new version, and the only real thing is like, oh, we moved some menu options around,
right?
And that was it. And it's like, that's frustrating. I mean, it honestly is kind of frustrating.
So, I mean, here's a great example. When Microsoft finally took hold of system imaging, they put out what they called the ADK, the Automated Deployment Toolkit. Okay, it was the Automated Deployment Toolkit that came out with Windows Vista, or Server 2008 R2.
I remember that. Yeah,
or Server 2008. Excuse me. Somewhere along the way, it just decided to change names. Now it's the AIK, Automated Installation Toolkit. And in fact, you don't even use that anymore either. There's like a new tool that you use. And so rather than developing one tool and having it work from inception to current day, they have gone through at least 3 name changes for the same tool.
Yeah.
Same with Windows deployment services and what you're supposed to use there. Is it WDS? Is it WCCF? Or WDM? Is it WDS? Like, what the... Yeah.
So many. I know. No, I know. What was it? They had that one simple tool that they used to create images with. For creating ISOs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
Windows used to have a native one, and they named it.
ImageX is the one you're probably thinking of. Yeah,
they renamed it so many times.
So ImageX was it's basically like a 200 kilobyte binary that has no dependencies. Yeah. It's all self-contained, and its sole feature is to take the contents of your hard drive and compress you down a Windows image file or a .wim file. So it creates for you an index of all of the files and what do they do and what are your settings and what is necessary for a raw Windows install based on this installation. Okay? Now you don't use ImageX. You still can, but it's not necessarily 100% supported because, they need to inject ads to you. Mm-hmm. So ImageX was deprecated. And instead, now you use DISM, which is a component of PowerShell. And it's the Disk Imaging Management...
something like that.
Disk Imaging System Management or something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
OSCMDG or something is also the other component of that. And so there's 2 different components now that you have to call that are wildly complex and true to PowerShell. Don't even share or have a uniform way of calling arguments on how you want that image captured. Because it's like, oh, / and then Windows -dish -image : source / blah 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 blah, and then the next argument is a dash and like some acronym. It's like within the application itself, like the application can't even agree what it wants for arguments and what order it wants them in. How are you supposed to design an operating system that's supposed to be intuitive?
Yeah.
And that's like a back-end feature of Windows.
It's like it's almost clearly designed for people who are specialized in certain things, and they obscure it just so those people are the only people who can do it, so they have a job all the time. I don't know. They don't want to simplify it or anything like that. As a developer, I always try to make things easier for the end user. And I think that's what Apple tries to do for the most part. But sometimes they do it to a fault where it's like frustrating to the end user sometimes.
Yeah.
Where the walled garden thing is like, this is the only way you can do it.
Right.
There has to be a happy medium, to be honest, but
there really does. But coming back to the point of, yes, Apple is introducing a Proton-like tool that can run Windows games. You're still beholden to the developer to support that tool. Because they're trying to get developers to port natively over to Metal API. If your API is that great, it should be able to understand Vulkan or DirectX instructions, or at least have light compatibility translation layers where it could just run. And you wouldn't have to rely on developer support. You could instead say, you know what? If a consumer gets 98% of the way there, is that good enough? No. Perfection, which means developer interaction and a walled garden and nothing but the best for our consumers. But the problem is, now you've cut out 90% of the people because 98% don't run Mac.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Apple. I also vehemently hate Apple. I'm a fan of Windows. I also
hate them. Yes, love-hate relationship.
Yes,
there's always the love-hate relationship.
I'm a fan of Linux.
Anybody who's in the tech industry can also be categorized as an abused spouse, I'm sure.
Yep.
I love you, but I hate you.
Yeah. Why can't I quit you?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're an hour in. I think I can open my second beer now.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah. Can I do it safely? I'm cutting the wax with an X-Acto because that's the only tool I have.
Oh, that's completely safe.
I've got literally a little hobby knife next to me.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll give a little bit of commentary on my Great Notion Elite Lager.
Please. Yeah, I was actually very interested in that because... Go ahead. Go ahead and give me.
So as far as lagers go, it is really great. It has a very sweet malty finish, and I can see why they put a pizza on the can here. They put a pizza on the can because as soon as I took a sip, I'm like, I would like a slice of pizza with this beer.
Nice.
There's certain pairings of beer and foods that just kind of go really well together. A nice crisp lager and a pizza is like great, as long as it's a good lager. This is like a perfect pairing for that. And it's just kind of got the sweet, slight hoppy, almost like almost a sweet corn flavor to it. Very good.
You know the Rick and Morty experiencing true level, reality is poison, I don't want to go back.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of how I feel about breathing air now. I don't want to ever smell anything but this again.
It's like when he hit on a level, the perfectly level space, and now you don't want to smell anything but that.
Cosmic slaughter. Right. Crux Fermentation Project. 2023 Banished Series Lost Love Barrel Aged Imperial Rye Stout.
Sounds so good.
Good God.
I've had their Lost Love series.
Yeah.
But I haven't had their rye one before. I had their bourbon barrel one before, and I'm a big fan of Crux. I really am.
Oh yeah. Look at how I'm gonna pour this as gently as possible so you can see.
Oh my gosh, that's like syrup consistency.
Truly, how dark this beer is. Like, like we talk about like the used motor oil. Like, should have changed that Ford before. This is other level, and the aroma. Oh my god, that's good.
Yeah. If anybody has, I don't know how far Crux distributes. But if anybody has a chance to try some Crux, they're really, really good.
Outside of like the greater Northwest, like Washington, Idaho, Oregon, maybe some Montana.
I've seen it in Colorado.
Have you? Okay, that's further east than I would have guessed. Yeah. Jeff's starting to look like Mel Brooks. That was actually who I was thinking about.
Perrier.
Got that Perrier can. Yeah. I told you never to call me on this wall. Anyway, back to your lager. We've talked about this a number of times about I wish there were more craft pilsners and lagers and
too.
golden ales and things like that. You know, some of the lighter, 4 to 6% style ales, because while I love beers like this,
I do too. Yeah.
I also really enjoy super crisp pilsners and lagers that you can have a burger or a pizza with and things like that. And I'm not after, a domestic lager. I'm not after, I'm not one to ever crack a Bud Light or a Coors Light or a Miller Genuine, or I don't care. I hate them all.
Yeah.
They're cheap. They're cheaply mass-produced garbage.
They're my last ditch. Like at a barbecue, if that's all they got, okay.
If that's all they have, I'll drink soda. Like I've
had White Claw over Bud Light.
I will have a White Claw every once in a while. It's not terrible. Because it's simple. Because but I wish the barrier of entry, speaking to price, was way lower than it is for craft lagers, pilsners, goldens, etc. Because I'll be at the store and believe it or not, I actually do have a budget for like craft beer per month, where it's like I don't have $1,000. I'm gonna buy a couple of six packs, couple of 4s, and maybe 1 or 2 bottles. Like that's usually what I do. And I go down the aisle and I find a great notion, craft pilsner, and it's 5.5%, and it's like $12 for a 4-pack. I'm like, that sounds really good. I read the description. It sounds amazing. And then you look one can to the right, and there's Fort George's Kavatica Stout for $2 less.
Yeah, I know. That's ridiculous.
Which are you going to choose?
Yeah. You get more bang for your buck with the Kavatica Stout.
You do. And it's not that I'm drinking to get drunk. I actually don't often drink to get drunk. But if I'm going to choose between 2 styles of beers for literally the exact same price, I'm probably going to pick the big IPA, the big stout, the larger flavors, the better experiences, versus something that I just crack open when I'm having a pizza. Because if I'm sitting down to drink a Tough Love, I'm going to experience this beer.
And I think there's a reason for that, specifically with microbrewers, because lagers, which a pilsner is a lager, right?
Yes.
Lagering is a process where you cold ferment things. So you have to have the temperature at a certain low temperature. Most ales, which are porters, stouts, IPAs, all those things, those are ales. Those are brewed at room temperature.
Right.
They don't have to have chilled things. So the reason why like Miller's and Coors and Bud, all those could crank that out they have the giant infrastructure already established to lager huge amounts of beer.
Yep.
Most of these craft places, they don't have that. They don't have the way of lagering huge amounts of beer.
Yep.
So when they do,
you can't keep your mash cool for 20 straight days if you're a craft brewery.
Yeah.
And make a profit on it at the end, because time is money, and more than anything else, electricity is money.
Yeah. And so then they have to charge it a little bit more, or at the same price at the very least. So that's probably why you don't see it as much. And it's unfortunate, because I find that craft lagers taste way better than domestic.
Yes.
Way better than domestic.
Right.
But it's just unfortunate that they don't crank them out. I think that's the same case with like Belgians and those type of styles.
Yeah.
They actually have to be fermented at a higher temperature to get those like banana esters. They have to be like higher than room temperature. So you have to put heat into the building to get them up there. So those are absolutely delicious. I love those better, actually. I was looking for one of those instead of the normal IPAs.
Yeah.
I couldn't find one. I couldn't find, like, no one makes craft Belgian beers that much. I mean, they're out there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
I actually
it's just harder to find.
Ninkasi actually just put out a Belgian.
Do they really?
They're White Rapids.
Oh, I have to try that then.
It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. You would have loved. Did you watch the show last week?
I watched. I got a chance to watch like maybe a half hour of it. You guys went to the brewery down there. Yeah.
We were at Faultline Brewing in.
Yes, I looked up their website. It looked like they had a really good layout.
They are definitely German inspired, like top to bottom. Good. Everything about that place was kind of German inspired. But during the show, I had a Tripel. Mm-hmm. It was phenomenal. It was.
Oh, really?
It was like 8.3%. It wasn't even like a huge one. It was
are my favorite.
So good, so good. Rhett had a beer. I forget what it was, but it was. It was. Gosh, I don't even remember what it was. But my description of it when I tried it was like. Oh no! It was their hef. They had just like a standard Hefeweizen.
Oh yeah, no.
And,
like hefs are great.
Hefs are
not Widmer, not Widmer's hef. Widmer hefs is terrible.
Widmer's hef, it's a gateway. It gets you. What flavors should I look for? Okay, how can they be better?
Yeah,
that's Widmer's hef. Same thing with like Blue Moon.
Well, I mean, I remember I liked Widmer's hef until I actually had a real hef, like a German style hef. And then I'm like, why do they not make hefs like this? Mm-hmm. They call it an American style hef. And I'm like, why do they make the American style taste worse? Right. Oh my God.
Anyway, yeah, it was their Hefeweizen. Mm-hmm. I had one of those and I went, this is crisp. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're gonna equate it to like beer, I went like, this is like Granny Smith apple crisp. Like, but then the cloves and that banana, those esters, kicked in immediately after. And I said, this is like biting into an apple and it's full of banana.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
It was like that.
Yeah. And it's like if this is what all German beers taste like, I can see why Oktoberfest is so popular in Munich. It's like, like if our Oktoberfests are full of bud and stuff like that, it's like, I don't want to go to that.
Yeah.
But if Munich's is full of like all those type of beers, I'm like, yeah, dude, I would be passed out drunk on a table at the end of the day too.
Anyway, so I spent later half of last week at AWE, Augmented World Expo. Had a super fun time. Lots of really cool tech. And ironically enough, on the way to AWE, on the plane, we flew over Apple's campus. You can see it from the sky. It's a giant donut with trees in the middle of it. And Rhett was actually sitting by the window and he goes, hey, what's that? And I went, oh, that's Apple's campus. I'll be damned. So, yeah, we flew over Apple's campus, and I went, strangely enough, we're flying to an augmented reality conference. And we're going to fly out 2 days before Apple finally unveils their augmented reality headset.
Right.
Like, we're 20 miles from it.
Yeah.
Whatever. I wasn't invited. But Apple finally unveiled their augmented reality headset called the Vision Pro. Available for only $3,500 early next year. They gave us kind of a sneak peek of what is the Vision Pro. Basically, this is a MacBook Pro with an M2 CPU on board, along with a new R1 coprocessor that handles all of the actual headset functions. So all of your sensors and hand tracking and inside-out tracking and everything that goes along with that. Inside of a single headset that is arguably 3 times what the most expensive consumer headset costs now.
Oh, yeah.
Also, the thought of Vision Pro leads me to ask, well, what's the non-Pro going to cost? Because you know damn well, Apple's naming schemes, there's going to be a non-Pro that comes out later for way less money. Mm-hmm. And they're just trying to get the early adopters with $3,500 price tag.
The big enthusiasts that want to look like Randy Macho Man Savage.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because let's be fair, this looks like Randy Macho Man Savage's glasses right here.
It really does. And ironically enough, those actually aren't your eyes. Those are projected so the outside world can see your eyes.
Oh, is that really what it is? They take a picture of your eyes so you're...
Uh-huh.
Okay. I didn't know that.
There's a pair of cameras facing out. There's also cameras facing in. And then it does like mapping of your face so it can present a 1-to-1 image of your face on an externally facing OLED panel.
That's kind of creepy, actually.
Right?
I don't know if I like that.
Yeah. So they do promise a lot of pretty revolutionary things. And if Apple's coming out with it, I have no doubt that it's going to be somewhat revolutionary because they usually do.
Yeah.
The problem is the cost of entry, number one.
Yeah, very big, very steep.
Right. Who is this actually going to be marketed to? Who's your user? Are people just going to walk around like this now? You're just going to walk around with a display strapped to your face? I mean, I sound like a boomer when I say that, but at the same time, like, I have work to do. Sometimes I want to look my colleagues in the eyes and have them know they're actually looking back at me.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing. I think a lot of things they were saying, it's like, well, this is I guess this is for like virtual offices maybe, or I don't really know. I mean, I kind of saw a brief thing about it. Use cases are just kind of pie in the sky right now. No one's really got their hands on it.
Yeah. I will say there's some really cool concepts about this.
Yeah.
But they're not concepts that no one else is working on. Now, time will tell with all of this, because remember how we were all skeptical when the iPhone came out and they're taking away our keyboards? And then it turned out to be the right decision. Totally could be one of those. I've been wrong about tech before. Although I've been right more times than I've been wrong when judging new technology. Mm-hmm. Rambus is totally going to take off, right? Who doesn't want to buy their memory only in pairs?
Of course.
Right. Sorry, Rich. Old colleague who was all in on Rambus. And if you're watching...
Sorry.
Sorry. So, there's some really cool applications for this tech. And we've always known those applications have been there. In fact, we've seen current gen virtual reality, augmented reality take advantage of a lot of these implementations. One of the biggest things that I saw a number of years ago, as well as being demoed very heavily at AWE, was remote assistance. And I'm not just talking about like, hey, can you help me build this thing? Or, hey, I'm having trouble with this. There's actually, BMW is one of the major companies that has taken advantage of augmented reality in their assembly plant.
Yes,
and
I've heard of this.
They have augmented reality headsets that they wear. And in real time, in real space, they will be able to 3D scan the vehicle that they're looking at and tell the technician exactly where the screws are at in relation to their position. And so you're looking at a 318i, let's say, on an assembly line. And it goes, you need to put screws here, here, and here. Instead of just like giving you an image of a 318 and going, boom, 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 what it will do is it will 3D scan your environment, identify the car that you're working on, and then in real time overlay a 3D model of the part that you're installing into that 318. And as you move around it, will change the perspective to match what you're looking at. And so in real time, it tells you as if it's grabbing your hand and moving you to that part and going, this is what you're working on. This is where the screw goes. This is the tension. This is the torque settings. This is everything else that you need to know. And it's fantastic. And one of the big things at AWE was augmented reality training. We saw driving simulators. We saw forklift training simulators. We saw flight training simulators. We saw military simulators. For, in fact, the video I released today, one of the companies, VR Engineers, they develop one-to-one cockpits for flight sim training for F-16s, F-18s, F-35s, the jets that are currently in conflicts right now. They can ship 10 of these cockpits with augmented reality displays for less than Boeing charges for one. So what are you going to do? If you're a company or a military or a government who needs to train a bunch of pilots, well, you're going to buy 10 of these instead of one of those.
Yeah.
And that's kind of their niche. And it's all taking advantage of augmented reality and real space tracking and hand tracking and everything else, because they can put a headset onto you. And it's one thing if you put on a headset and you're in Microsoft Flight Simulator and you have a joystick, but it doesn't match the actual joystick to the thing that you're flying. And the controls are all laid out in front of you, but you have to remember keyboard commands for, G equals landing gear down, or something like that. But if they can recreate a one-to-one cockpit in an augmented reality space, and then via hand tracking, make sure that you're reaching out and flipping the correct switch on the dashboard in front of you, that's what that company specializes in. And that's what makes it different, and that's what makes it work. And so, again, there was a whole bunch of that, and holy crap, I wish I had more time to do videos about stuff like that, because it was insane, like putting my brain inside of that mindset for a couple of days. Now, Apple is showing off very similar things. Working in machining, working in construction, having virtual desktops set up all around you, eliminating monitors, being able to literally have a MacBook Pro mounted to your head and work on it as if you would work on an Apple computer. With the exception that Vision OS is the new operating system that also has its own APIs and binaries.
That you have to comply to,
separate from iOS, separate from iPadOS, separate from macOS, separate from watchOS. For God's sake, Apple, just make universal binaries. You make the chips top to bottom. There's no reason that any binary can't work on any hardware. Again, putting the onus into the developer rather than the consumer.
Can't make money that way, though.
Can't make money that way. That's totally right. But eye tracking. Gosh, what are some of the... They have FLIR sensors and LiDAR scanners, true depth cameras, so you can take 3D pictures and then share them with your friends, and your friends can walk around the picture that you just took. That's all freaking cool. And the optics inside of this are otherworldly. I guess like text at the edge of your vision is still as sharp as the text in the center of your vision.
Oh, that's really cool, yeah.
So I'm not saying it's not going to be the best headset we've ever seen, because it probably freaking is. But it's also $3,500.
Very expensive.
And who is
the most expensive one? Yeah.
And where's the buy-in? And I want to try my TechWear gloves for Vert keyboards and mouse. Are you talking William Shatner's TechWear, or are you talking some of the 3D hand tracking TechWear gloves? I'm assuming the TechWear gloves.
TechWear or TechWar?
TechWear. It's supposed to be TEK, TechWear. Or TechWar. Hold on.
TechWar was the old William Shatner.
Yeah, TechWar was the old William Shatner. Right. Apparently there's some gloves that might... I don't know. Did you mean wear? TechWear? Because I remember the novels, and I also remember the DOS game written about TechWar. Which was made in the build engine a la Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah.
Can I just say?
You only sipped a little bit of that, and I understand why, because it's very, very high percentage, but it's absolutely delicious. In fact, you know what? I'm going to join you with my pastry stout.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm done with mine, so I'm going to enjoy this chocolate cinnamon churro. Oh, this smells wonderful too. Oh, it smells so chocolatey. This one's not bourbon barrel aged or rye barrel aged, but it still smells wonderful. Oh man, okay, that is a quintessential pastry stout. That's very sweet, but it's good. That is drinking dessert right there.
Good.
That actually almost has a almost tastes the churro.
Yeah. If I may, so Oftinfinity says, if I may challenge the idea, this headset gets lower. It already has an M2 chip, meaning entry 13-inch MacBook Pro, entry-level MacBook Air. I was actually typing out a response when I forgot that I can just say words instead of typing them. So let's price out your MacBook Pro, okay? I wish I had an example. Hold on, I have an example. Hold on, you're gonna love this. Steve, talk about your beer for another 60 seconds.
Oh, okay, all right. As he goes, yeah. Even Novella Hub said it's fantastic. If anybody's had a pastry stout before, they're usually super chocolate heavy, to give like a sweet dessert flavor. This is the first time I can actually taste the pastry in a pastry stout. It almost tastes like, a donut or something, some kind of fried dough is in there. And man, I know that there's some places that do like stout floats where they will do like a really good rich stout with some vanilla ice cream. Most of the time, the results were kind of mid. I mean, it was okay. This is something I would love to have a scoop of vanilla ice cream in. I think it would be absolutely fantastic as a dessert. It is so rich and delicious.
I can't find it, which is weird for me. So I have somewhere a MacBook Pro Logic board. It's about 2 inches by 6 inches. Okay? It's about this big. About this big. Okay? The Logic board for MacBook Pro fits right about there.
It's tiny.
Fits right about there. Okay? That's a MacBook Pro. Minus the aluminum and the display and the keyboard and the trackpad and everything else. Like, let's just take the Logic board. Fits right about there. Let's take an OLED display from a phone.
About right there.
Fits about right there. Oh, let's take a second one for the external facing. Fits about right there. Your M2 CPU inside of a MacBook Pro starts at about $1,100 for a MacBook Air, about $1,300 for a MacBook Pro. Your OLED screen on your phone, $90. $70 at scale. $70 is about what it costs you to develop and mass produce an OLED screen for your phone. So let's say reasonably $600 for the entire Logic board, another $140 for the out-facing and the in-facing displays. We're at what, $740. Let's put a battery in there. Lithium's cheap. We all think it's not. Lithium's pretty cheap. Let's put a 10 watt hour battery in there. Let's give it 3 or 4 hours of battery life. $20. We've already taken care of storage and RAM and CPU and Wi-Fi and everything else. That's all on the Logic board. That's all probably about $600 for Apple, maybe even less. What else does it take to make VR? Oh, you've got your LiDAR, you've got your multi-cameras. By the way, every single camera on any phone ever that has bespoke phone processing built into the M2 or Snapdragon or whatever the hell, those cameras cost like $5-6. So let's take the 10 cameras and let's just say $45, because some of them are going to be like VGA, just for like depth scanning kind of stuff. So let's say like $45. What are we at? $765? Rough math. $785, rough math. Let's take the aluminum housing and all the material and fabric and everything else. What are we at? $820? $820 cost.
My thought with this is it might be because it's been rumored that Apple's been working on this for like how many years? Yeah. I think this price point is recouping their R&D costs.
That's exactly what it is. Oh, and the battery is external. So they cheaped out. It's got a cord and a lithium-ion battery that sits on your waist. Yeah. Now go to the accountants and the marketing room. $3,500. Go for it.
Yeah.
And again, Apple knows exactly who their clientele is, what market they can sell to, who will buy this up. There are people that have been waiting for Apple to develop a VR and AR headset.
This is for early adopters that are just super enthusiastic about any Apple product, and they will get quite a bit of people who are going to buy it at this price point.
Remember when the iPhone 1 launched at $699 and we all collectively went more than $200?
Yeah.
Are you?
Well,
just saying.
Mm-hmm. And what are the price of most flagship phones now?
Also, Apple's doing, by the way.
Yeah.
High-end smartphone manufacturers going, let's go for like $600 for our high-end, and Apple goes, hold on, iPhone X, $1,000.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's a $1,600 phone market.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cost is the logo, make no mistake. I've argued against that for so many years. Obviously, I'm going material cost and I'm going manufacturing cost. I'm not including R&D cost. Apple's R&D costs are high. Apple does have a premier, world-leading, industry-leading R&D department. They're very smart people. Material sciences, technology, software, hardware, everything, top to bottom. Apple does not hire stupid people, and they don't spend pennies on people either when you're at that level. Kind of wish Google Glass lasted and took off. I do too. I thought Google Glass was fantastic, but at $1,500 it was unsustainable, and I feel at $3,500 Apple's Vision Pro is going to be unsustainable.
Yeah.
At $2,000, I think the Vision Standard is unsustainable. I think at $800 you might have something.
For mainstream adoption, I don't know if they're really marketing this for mainstream. Maybe they're doing, because like even from this article, it looks like they're going for industrial, more business oriented type things, and then high tech early adopters. So that may be the market they're shooting for, not for everyone to have one, like smartphones. I don't know. The marketing material they put out makes us think that, oh yeah, everyone in their living room is going to be having this on their head.
Yeah.
But the practical use seems to be more business oriented. So kind of a mixed message there.
Yeah. Apple. We love pros. Let's develop a $7,000 desktop that uses nothing but proprietary technology. Oh, and can't even run standardized graphics cards. So Adobe will put the onus on the developer to make sure that you support Metal and our encoding streams rather than NVENC, etc. DaVinci will make sure you need to support Metal. Gamers. We hear you, gamers. You want a game on the Mac. Okay.
This whole show's been a Mac rant. It's an Apple rant.
Well, when 2 out of our 3 main topics are
I know.
it's kind of hard to avoid.
I know. It was a big story. It was.
Yeah. But yeah, it's frustrating because from an enthusiast standpoint, and 15 years ago, from an enthusiast standpoint, I wanted nothing more than to get behind Apple finally adopting consumer standards.
Yeah.
They went Intel in 2006.
Yeah, they did. And it was exciting. It was like, oh,
they went goodbye PowerPC. Hey, you want to run Windows? You want to run Mac? Sweet. I was a day one buyer of a MacBook. The very first MacBook that came out, the white MacBook. I went, I need that. I ran a G3 tower in college. Had a G3 that I had upgraded all the way up to 800 megahertz that I ran. It was the turquoise and white crystal tower. And I had the Apple Pro monitor and everything else. And ran that as like a daily driver desktop until like 2007 or something.
I ain't gonna lie, those things were sexy looking at the time.
They were sexy. It did everything I needed. It was like it was great. Like all of my work I did on that. I still had like gaming desktops on the side, but most of my work I did on my Apple.
Yeah.
2006 they came out with the MacBook and I went, I'm sold. I want one. Ran Mac OS on there, ran Windows XP on the side, on an 80 gig mechanical drive with 2 gigs of RAM via Boot Camp. So you choose which OS you want. It's like, watch this. I'm going to run Windows XP on my Apple. Like, It was big news because
Yeah.
all of a sudden I can run all of the applications that I need for professional IT. So all of my Nmap stuff, all of my IP finder, all of my tools, all of my scanners, all of my
All worked on it. Yeah.
it all worked, and I didn't need two different versions of software. And it's like, hey, at work I can run Windows, and at home I can run Apple, and in my free time I can run Apple, and I'm happy. Totally got behind him. Ran Linux on a MacBook Pro for a good long time. So yeah, 2006 bought a white MacBook. 2009 bought a MacBook Pro. I had multiple MacBook Pros through the years.
Right.
In 2009, they hadn't come out with the unibody one yet, but I'd bought a 2007 MacBook Pro, so 2 years used. Core 2 Duo, ATI X1600 graphics. Remember when they used to have ATI for their graphics cards? Me too.
Oh god, I remember ATI. Yeah. Well, now AMD, but it's fine.
Right. Yeah, like, and then
I think I still have some old merch from ATI
that's cool.
before they went AMD.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Yes, go for it.
Right.
But yeah, no, I bought the MacBook Pro partially so I could also game on the MacBook because there we go. I needed the border. Because all of a sudden I could get a Mac with an ATI graphics card with 512 megs of memory that I could run games on. And so I bought that, and it was great. It was fantastic. But yeah, when Apple adopted standards, I started getting on board. And when they started going more and more back towards first party, and especially with their anti-right to repair, anti-consumer technologies and stances that they've taken over the years, I've stepped further and further away. I still have a Mac Mini M1, and in fact, I'm probably going to buy a second one when the new studio gets built and run Mac Minis in my main manufacturing area for all of my CNCs and lasers and things like that, because they're fantastic to operate. They're freaking tanks, and you can't really understate that. But it's hard to justify everything that comes with it when you go super high end. Like, I can get an M1 Mac right now, Mac Mini, for like $400 refurbished.
And I'm back.
And you're back. All right.
And I'm back. Sorry.
Cool. But it's hard to justify spending that much money on pro-end stuff, on like $3,000 for MacBook Pro. I did buy twice $3,500 MacBook Pros because that's what I needed professionally. So I bought a 15-inch and then later bought a 15-inch. And they were fantastic. Some of the best machines I've ever had. Thunderbolt version 1. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
MacBook Pro 17-inch.
Mm-hmm.
But it was right around that 2016 moment. And my iPhone was a top contender of the FU Apple thing when...
Right.
14 months into ownership, I had a battery literally exploding on me.
Explode on you, yeah.
And so I went, what's a battery? $20? Oh, it's $130.
Nope.
No, it's $130 through Apple or $20 to buy a battery. And so I bought a battery because I spent $800 on this phone. I don't have another $130 to throw at it.
Yeah.
Bought a battery, replaced it. Guess what? Didn't solve the charging issue. So took it to an Apple store. When I said I had a third-party battery in it,
They go, nope.
No.
Oh, no, they were okay with that?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, for those who have not heard my Apple rant, I set a Genius appointment, which they didn't even acknowledge I was there until 40 minutes after the appointment should have started, which is kind of contrary to the Genius bar. Told the person, hey, my battery's not reaching full charge. It's getting up to like 80, 82% overnight, and then it's draining immediately to 20% as soon as the day starts. And by the way, this had also happened after I replaced the battery. It's getting like nuclear hot during charging. There's obviously something wrong. Now me, as a tech, I went, obviously it's the lithium, so I just replaced the battery. Because it's 2 screws and $20 later. And it's like...
Yeah, easy peasy.
Easy peasy. So tech approaches, and God bless this woman. She walks up, and she goes, "What's the issue?" And I went, "Oh, my phone isn't charging all the way, and then it's depleting very quickly. It's getting very hot." And so she picked up my phone, and she turned it on, and then she did this kind of thing. And then she did this to me. What does that mean? Oh, it means you need my fingerprint. Words. She was so upset that I hadn't already unlocked my phone for her that she just held my phone out to me and went,
"Oh, wow."
And then glared at me and then did this again and went, "Can you unlock it, please, sir?" "Oh, was that what you wanted? You may have done this 1,000 times today. This is our first interaction."
Yeah.
"Hey, how about, can you unlock the phone so we can continue, please?"
Yeah.
Like, one of my training things that I always did for new employees. You may have said this 1,000 times. It's the first time.
But the first person for somebody else.
The person you're talking to has heard this. It better sound like the first time.
Yeah.
Customer service 101.
Keeping that facade over and over is important, but
really
it is. I mean, it is why being customer support is grating to the person.
It really is grating, and I fully understand that. But but at the same time,
it's what you have to do. It's the
what
job.
you have to do, and it's part of the job. And I've experienced this in so many different industries and so many different professions.
You can be frustrated. It's okay, and you can go in the back room and when you're on your break, and you could
vent. You could whatever else.
You could vent whatever you want with your coworkers, but you don't do it in front of the customer.
Do not get short with customers over expectations that you have that they should have already gone through this hoop. No, because it's my first experience with an iPhone 6s Plus with a battery that's literally exploding inside of its shell. If you can communicate the troubleshooting steps and what you need me to do to proceed, this can be a very pleasant conversation.
Yeah.
Or you can be an absolute asshole about it, and we're going to be contentious from here on out. There we go. But
yeah, it's like the personification of that SNL company computer guy sketch they used to have.
Anyway, so I graciously unlocked my iPhone, which I should have already done before she even approached my presence.
Yeah.
And she does a couple of taps, opens a website, goes to this thing, does this, drops my phone on the table, walks away. No other words. Okay. Are we running tests? It's doing something that I don't recognize. And I know what I'm doing. It's doing an app thing. It's doing this whole thing. I wait another 30 minutes. I finally flagged down another Genius Bar employee. "Hey, what happened to the lady who was... Oh, she went home."
Oh, wonderful.
"Great. I had an appointment an hour and a half ago. And now I'm pissed off." So that was that. Then, finally, this guy comes over, and he's the very customer service guy. Very, very, over the top. "How can I help you today, sir?" And, well, here's the symptoms, as I've explained to at least 3 other of your esteemed employees that's at this location. As you can see, my phone is currently sitting at like 22%, when it should be, in fact, at 85%.
Yeah.
And, as it's been plugged in for the last 20 minutes, it is the temperature of the sun. Maybe this is an issue, maybe it's as expected, but it's not something that I desire. How can we move forward? He goes, "Okay, well, likely it's this, this, and this." And he goes, "What have you done so far?" And I said, "Well, I fully reinstalled the operating system as per the documentation via Apple's website for troubleshooting battery charging issues and etc. And when that didn't work, I went ahead and ordered a third-party battery and installed that myself, yet the issue persists." To which he said, dropped the phone on the table, literally took 2 steps back. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Third-party battery. I can't touch this because we don't know what condition this battery is in. And I said, well, that's weird because I bought it as a brand new unit. And he goes, well, because it's not an Apple battery, you could have put anything in here. I beg to differ.
It could be filled with bees.
It could be filled with bees. But if I take this into the back room and I attempt to remove this battery from this phone, not knowing the physical condition or use cycles of this battery, it could start a fire. And I can't take the lives of you, my colleagues, and everyone else in this building into risk because you decided to replace the battery yourself.
Wow. Yeah, the Apple guilt trip.
I was already pissed when he decided to declare that my iPhone battery was a nuclear bomb.
Yeah. Yeah. You're on a terrorist list somewhere, Jeff. I'm surprised you even got to go on an airplane.
I've been there almost 2 hours. I started swearing.
Yeah.
I said, sir, it's a lithium battery. You carry one in your pocket every day.
All the time. Yeah.
Every day. All the time. If it was that big of a risk, they would never allow them into public. Yet, you refuse to even glance at mine or put your hands on it at this point. Why? Well, I can't take the lives of everyone in this building. And I said, so you're going to level an entire city block if you dare. And he goes, please, sir, don't swear. There's children around.
You were an Apple apostate at that point. You had to go to Apple confession.
I did.
They probably had an Apple booth over there where you had to like hail to Steve Jobs and.
I feel like I'm channeling a bit of Steve Hofstetter right now in the way I'm delivering this. But yeah, no, had he touched that phone or made any further interactions with it, it would have leveled a city block.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I believe that was 2018. And I started swearing off most Apple products. I did buy the MacBook Pro in 2020. I bought a refurbished MacBook or Mac Mini in 2021. But from 2018 until now, I've been Android. I'm not dealing with that anymore.
Yeah.
Nope. Sorry. I'm done. Out. Lost me as a customer forever from that product line. Because that's your stance towards customers.
Yeah. All right.
Yay. Speaking of AMD EPYC Rome CPUs.
Yes, I know you were talking about that before. I thought this was like an excellent article about right up our alley.
Yes. EPYC Rome CPUs apparently have a bug in the real-time clock processor that causes them to just stop processing anything after 1,044 days of uptime. I didn't know it was 2038 already.
I know. Now, not that many people keep their servers up that long, but...
It used to be a badge of honor. Anymore,
It used to be, yeah.
It used to be. Anymore, it's a sign that you don't update. Shh.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, yeah.
So, yeah, there was kind of this, like, realization that, hey, maybe we should not brag about 1,200 days of uptime anymore. Because it just shows how vulnerable our systems are to zero-day and even, like, known exploits.
Right.
Oh, that was disclosed. Oh, look, a year and 3 months ago. Cool. I can run this on your Switch and gain admin access. Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't boast about not patching things anymore. Anyway, whether it's a bug or whether it's a feature, AMD EPYC Rome CPUs, apparently after 1,044 days of uptime, or roughly 2.93 years, will just halt.
Stop working. Just stop working.
I'm done.
I'm out. Sorry,
I'm
guys.
going on break.
Yeah.
So a single processing core will hang. Either disable CC6 or reboot your system before the projected time of failure. And there is no fix planned.
Yeah, this is like reboot it, dummy.
Yep. So yeah,
this is literally like, have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah. The funny thing is, so here's actually the plausible theory for this. And again, it has to do with 32-bit instructions running out of space. Despite what the problem actually manifests, or despite what they say, the problem actually manifests at 1,042 days and roughly 12 hours. The internal clock ticks at 2,800 megahertz, and 28 times 10 to the 6th power is 1,042.5 days, or roughly 1,042 days and 12 hours. This equals 0x38 repeating, which has too many zeros.
Too many, yeah, it can't be stored.
Not a coincidence.
Integer. Yeah, can't be stored.
So, basically what happens is after 1,042 and a half days is it is not able to initiate CC6 sleep state, which is like the shutting down of non-essential services. So when it decides to put a thread to sleep or put a core to sleep or ignore your RTC for a couple of seconds or any other like chipset level low architecture thing, it'll go, I'm done.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I'm afraid I can't do that right now.
Afraid I can't do that.
Hold on. It has been exactly... and there's not going to be a fix because this is likely a hardware level bug.
Yeah. And you just have to reboot it. It'll be fine.
So, simply keep updating your systems. Don't let it hit 1,042 and a half days, and you'll be fine.
I don't think I have a system in my house that's been up longer than a couple months. So, that I haven't restarted. I mean, they restarted, you know. So, I don't know about you. I know we have a lot of home server enthusiasts, and I know there's a lot of people out there that brag about how long their systems have been up, but 2 years? That's pretty high.
Hold on. Let me check my longest up server.
So far.
My file server, I actually rebooted yesterday. I had an issue pop up with it and needed to take care of something and went, we'll just reboot it. And so that was good. I do have one of my main VM servers that's been up for 71 days and 5 hours.
That's pretty good.
So, for all those wondering, like, hey, do those earring motherboards, like, they're just going to melt down, right? 85, 90-degree VRM temps, and holy crap, they don't sustain 100-watt loads. 71 days of uptime on a VM server running on an Earying 11800H motherboard. There you go. In fact, I've got 2 of those. Let me check on the other one.
Uptime.
Summary. 70 days, 10 hours. So slightly more than, or about 1 day more, or 1 day less than the other.
So a little bit over 2 months.
Yep. 2 months, 10 days-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, quarterly reboots, totally fine.
I heard those motherboards melt down at the slightest hint of a load. Weirdest damn thing. One of them's running a game server.
Yeah, crazy.
One of them runs Java.
Oh, no. Just for Minecraft?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
I know there's whiskey fans in the chat. I know there's whiskey fans who tune in. I myself identify as a whiskey fan. It being Pride Month and all. Buffalo Trace just announced a new wheated bourbon line bearing a fanatically popular Weller name.
Oh, Weller is super popular. Yes.
Daniel Weller is their new line of weeded whiskeys. So, for those who don't know, Buffalo Trace, obviously mainstay in American bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
And also the distiller of Benchmark '08, my most hated bourbon of all time.
But also the most revered, which is Pappy Van Winkle.
Pappy Van Winkle, right, exactly.
Yes.
They literally have the best and the worst simultaneously. But what's funny is people go, "Oh, Benchmark, it's distilled by Buffalo Trace. It must be good." And so people like force themselves to think it's good, and it's like, yeah, it's good. And I really feel that's a thing. But if you get onto like whiskey on Reddit or things like that, you'll know that Weller is often a very, very highly sought after bottle. All of the different Weller variants. Now here in Oregon, I don't know what it is. They are in ample supply.
Yeah, we got a lot of Weller now. I don't know if anybody knows, but we had this controversy recently in Oregon where we had the head of the Oregon Liquor Commission was literally hoarding high-end whiskey and rare bottles. They may be compensating for that. Like, let's get this tape. Let's get more.
The thing is, like 2015 and to now, like I started really getting into whiskey about 2010 maybe. And I've had dozens of bottles of different Wellers throughout the years, and I never thought they were anything special. Like, yeah, it's a good enough whiskey. You know, it's a good enough mixer. It's good enough on the rocks. It's
fine.
It's all right.
Yeah, I never thought it was super special either.
Yeah, it's solid. Like I'll give it that. It's not mind changing. It's not mind blowing. It's not anything that I'd like. Oh, you have to try this. It's never been anything like that to me. And I do have whiskeys and bourbons and stouts and scotches and ryes and things like that. That's like, Steve, you have to try this one. Weller's never been that. It's always been, it's good.
It's iconic. It's kind of like Heady Topper to IPAs.
Right.
It's like it's fine, but it's not like
it's not the best. Great. It's not the worst. It's a phenomenal example.
Yeah.
And that's always what I've equated him to. But on Reddit and a lot of other whiskey forums, Weller has this like otherworldly appeal. And people will take pictures of like, holy crap, Costco got Weller. You won't believe it. And it's like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm in No Man's Town, Pennsylvania. And they have like 6 bottles. Holy crap, I'm going there now. And to me, it's been like, yeah, that bottle's like $30 at my liquor store. Like,
yeah, I know.
It's not that
bad.
Is this something you seek out? Because if so, I'm about to trade for some really serious.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the bourbon or the Buffalo Trace effect, right?
Yeah.
Where Buffalo Trace, solid bourbon, $25.
Yeah, completely
nothing
fine.
against it.
Nope.
Not a lot for it.
It's not the best ever, but it's not the worst ever. It's like right in the middle. It's like right. If you want to find something in the middle, Buffalo Trace is a great middle.
Where a $26.50 bottle of bourbon should be.
Yeah. I don't. If I drink it, I'm like, I don't feel ripped off, but I don't feel like I don't feel like it feels like it's pretty good price.
The $11 bottle of Benchmark '08, hot garbage. The Pappy Van Winkle and the Weller, solid examples, although probably overpriced.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've announced a new Daniel Weller, beyond cask strength, like double distilled.
Oof.
What was it? Daniel Weller died 1807, leaving behind no will. His son Samuel purchased his father's stills and other equipment and eventually passed them down to William Laurie Weller. William Laurie Weller bourbon is among the most sought-after whiskeys in the world and a key member of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. So naming an entire line after Daniel Weller kind of a big deal. Their Daniel Weller Emmer wheat will launch this month in limited quantities to select retailers, unless you're for the OLCC, in which you get 2 bottles yourself. At a price of $499.99 per fifth.
Oh, that's a bargain, right? That's the thing. It's like I've had a couple of wheated bourbons.
Yeah.
I think they're okay, but I much prefer rye. I prefer rye.
I'm in that same boat with you. I love me a rye.
Don't get me wrong, wheateds are good.
Gun to my head, if I had to go bourbon, Irish, Scotch, rye.
I'm gonna go rye.
Rye. Every time.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Absolutely. I mean, I do love Scotch and the Irish whiskeys. I love those. But there's something about
I know Canadians are going to chime in and go, we make whiskey too.
Whatever.
Well, make it better and you'll enter the conversation of the big four. Why don't you sit at the kids' table?
A good, like, past 10-year aged rye, you
came
just
across way more aggressive than I intended.
You cannot beat the flavor profile of that. It is almost like just whiskeyed candy. It's so delicious.
Yes. Whiskey candy with a little peppercorn on top.
Yes, exactly. With a little spice in there that kind of tickles the back of your throat.
Yes.
That lets you know that this drink is giving you a little tickle right in the back. Oh yeah. It's so great. I love it.
Ironically enough, this is the sensation that
it's a
yeah. Whew. Yeah. Love me a rye whiskey. In fact, I know everyone knows Elijah Craig's small batch bourbon, right?
Very good.
94 proof, amazingly good bourbon. Did you know they make a rye in the same proof?
They do. I've had it before. It is delicious.
I have been so jamming on that.
Oh, though, to be fair, I had the other day, I was at John's house, and I had the Jack Daniel's rye. Now, it was a young rye. I didn't like it that much, to be honest. But it was very young. I don't think it was aged very long. It didn't even say how long it was aged on the bottle. It just said Jack Daniel's rye. So I think it needs to age a little bit more. But most ryes that I have are absolutely delicious.
Yes. I love me a good rye. Let's see. What do I have up on the shelf right now? Actually, my shelf's a little barren for rye at the moment. That's weird.
Yeah, you got to restock.
I do. I do have about that much left in a Jack Daniel's single barrel rye, which I thought was fairly underwhelming. I think all my rye's upstairs right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I recently polished off. I had a Rogue Stouted Thunder whiskey. That's a cask strength bottle from Rogue Ales and Spirits.
Yeah.
Really good bottle. It's a whiskey that's aged in stout barrels that were previously whiskey barrels for the same whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Fantastic. Jeff has a finger left. Yes, I have one finger left of the Jack Daniel's rye, single barrel rye. It's not going to make the infinity bottle. No. Let's see, what else do I have? Ooh, Irish. I do have a Sexton single malt Irish.
Oh, Sexton's good. Sexton's really good. I like Sexton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a rye, but I still like it.
Yeah. Yeah. The Elijah Craig small batch rye and the Sexton single malt have been kind of my jams lately.
Yeah, they've been very good.
Yep.
Yeah, I had my favorite, which I have a little bit. I'm gonna probably put the last bit into my infinity bottle, is the Senator whiskey, which is a straight rye whiskey. That stuff is so good. It's a barrel proof rye whiskey, 6 year.
events. Trying to think of what other ryes I had on hand right now. I think I have a piggyback.
Oh, piggyback. Now, I haven't had too many piggybacks.
Yeah, I've got a piggyback. I think I still have some of that left. I'll have to see.
I've been wanting to try it, but I've heard like mixed reviews on piggyback.
For what? For Zuber?
Mixed reviews. Like,
it's okay. Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Speaking of local events.
Yes.
You gonna go to Zubaru this Friday?
No, I'm not. Actually, I'm probably going to be going to. Because
my wife is dancing in the corner, by the way.
Oh, okay. Hi.
We got a babysitter for Zubaru.
Oh, that's nice. It's me and Angie. It's me and my wife's anniversary. So this weekend. So we're not
perfect opportunity to go to Zubaru.
We hadn't planned on it, but it might be something we could think about. Zubaru. I've never gone.
Let's. You've not been to Zubaru? It's awesome. Mm-mm. Last time I went to Zubaru, okay. I had a pint in my hand, and literally from me to the camera, I have a selfie with a bald eagle behind me.
Oh, okay.
It's maybe it's an amazing photo.
You know what? I've been trying to get my kid and John's kid to have a spend the night over their house.
I think it's sleep overnight.
All right. You know what? We're thinking about what we're gonna do, so maybe that might be a good idea.
Yeah. No, we're going to Friday, right? Yeah, Zubaru on Friday.
Okay. Friday. Okay. All right. I'll take a look. We'll do it. We'll see if we can try and make this happen.
Yeah, it's 6:30 to 9:30.
All right.
And so it's not terribly late. But for those who don't know, Zubaru is the Portland Zoo craft brewers festival in which you go to the zoo and you have a beer fest.
It's a 21 and older event only. And
yeah.
Bring in outside food trucks.
Yeah. As my wife is telling me, like, producer, hold on. It's a 21 and older only event, and they bring in outside food trucks. So they have food trucks and craft breweries from around the region, and you get to walk around and see all the animals. And sometimes they even hold like the tiger and lion feeding time at like, we'll make them extra hungry for Zubaru.
So like, hey, let's throw a gazelle in there. Let's see what happens. Let's cheer it on.
I'm kind of hoping they didn't feed the cheetahs and they toss in a live gazelle. Like, are we taking bets this time? Or
yeah.
So we went. What was that? 2019.
I think so.
Yeah, 19. I think was the last one we went to.
Wow. Okay.
Obviously pre-pandemic.
18 or 19.
Yeah.
This is the first one I've had since COVID.
Yeah. This is the first one since COVID. So go get your tickets.
Yeah, I've never gone to a Zubaru, but I did go when John owned the tap house. He had the industry in at that point.
Yes,
and they did have a springtime industry brewers like kind of.
Tell you what, Steve, you get your tickets and we'll double up on the Uber.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll go A to B.
All right, we'll see. We'll do. I'll talk to Angie after this.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Uber.
I know it is. It's about $100. I looked it up. I'm not gonna drive. Kids are gonna be at grandma's. It's cool. Cool. Yeah, Whistle Pig. Great rye. I've got some of that. I think did I finish that bottle? I don't remember if I finished that bottle. I'll have to figure it out. Anyway, this has been Talking Heads, I think, episode 288.
Yep.
Once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in what I just said, beer and tech news. Steve, anything good to the order? Any hops and brews news? Since you were hops and brews for the first 20 minutes of the show?
Yeah, I was. No, I think me and John are probably gonna be doing this weekend. We're gonna be doing a pickle watermelon beer review, possibly. So look forward to that in John's channel. I plan on being on the after party. So if you guys want to come talk, join the Discord.
If you guys are gonna do that at John's, I may have to venture up with some dragon's milk.
That might be fun. I would love that.
That
You
would be
don't
awesome.
necessarily have to have the watermelon pickle beer, but
I wasn't going to, but thank you,
you know
for
what?
the out.
You know what? You know what? If you do it, I think it's gonna do numbers. We do it. You get Jeff getting a pickle beer.
Here's the deal. I hate pickles. Anyone who knows me knows I hate pickles. I also dislike watermelon.
So this is a double. This is a double hate.
I don't dislike watermelon flavoring. Like if I've got like a Sour Patch Kids or a Jolly Rancher or something like that.
The artificial one.
I like watermelon as far as like the candy flavoring. Watermelon itself, not a fan. I know. It's late. I know I'm yelling. She goes, "You were yelling." I know. But yeah, no, I may have to venture up, and we'll see about doing a video because that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, I would like to do more. I haven't done it in a while, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. But yeah, no, definitely join us in the after party. I plan on being there. I have a game I kind of want to live stream while we're talking. I kind of have an idea. I think it's gonna be fun.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah.
So yeah, come and join us later.
Sweet. Yeah,
right.
Make sure to like this video, subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already, subscribe to Hops and Brews if you like the beer content on this channel and want to see more reviews like that. As far as anything else, if you like the content you see on this channel and want to help support me in what I do, consider joining the Patreon or going over to craftcomputing.store and buying yourself some merch. We've got rocks, glasses, whiskey stones, and hopefully by the end of the week, some brand new coasters and pint glasses coming to the store.
Those are awesome. Definitely get those. Those are great.
These are
Those
dope.
are so cool.
I am so happy with how this turned out.
They're so cool.
Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you next week.